Rachel Maddow's intense reaction to Jasmine Crockett's statement became one of those moments in modern media where emotion, politics, and communication collided in real time. Maddow, who is known for her sharp wit, quick analysis, and articulate delivery, is not a stranger to passionate reactions. She has built her career on breaking down complex political issues with a blend of intellectual rigor and a sense of urgency that keeps viewers glued to their screens. But in this particular case, her reaction went beyond her usual style of critical commentary. The word "screams" attached to the headline may sound dramatic, but it underscores how her delivery captured the heightened emotions in the room and the importance of what Crockett had said. To truly understand why this moment drew so much attention, it is necessary to look at Maddow's role in media, her communication style, the context of Crockett's statement, and the way public figures use their voices to either amplify or dismantle the narratives put before them. Rachel Maddow has long been recognized as one of the most influential voices on cable news. Her presence on MSNBC has given her a platform where she consistently takes on political controversies with detailed explanations, often going deeper than sound bites. What separates Maddow from many of her contemporaries is her ability to weave together historical references, factual analysis, and current political events into a compelling story that viewers can understand and engage with. Over time, this approach has built a trust between her and her audience, who rely on her to not only inform, but to energize. In moments of tension, this energy often comes across as forceful, passionate, and sometimes even theatrical. This is exactly what happened when Jasmine Crockett's words hit the airwaves and Maddow reacted in a way that was not just intellectual, but visceral. The statement by Crockett served as a trigger point, not because it was shocking in content, but because it reflected a raw honesty and an unapologetic tone that challenged existing narratives. Crockett, known for her boldness, delivered a message that resonated with frustration many feel about political double standards, representation, and accountability. Maddow's response was not one of calm agreement or detached analysis. It was an eruption of energy, as if she herself had been waiting for someone in power to express what Crockett dared to say out loud. The scream, whether literal or figurative, symbolized a release of bottled-up tension that mirrored the sentiments of many viewers who were also tired of evasive political dialogue. It was not just about Maddow agreeing or disagreeing with Crockett. It was about her recognizing the boldness of the statement and reacting in real time with emotion that could not be disguised. Maddow's communication style relies heavily on emotional connection, even though she grounds her work in evidence and data. She understands that in the world of media, people do not only remember facts, they remember feelings. When she raised her voice, when her delivery intensified, she was creating a moment that felt authentic and unscripted. That authenticity is part of what made the clip go viral. Audiences are increasingly skeptical of staged reactions or rehearsed speeches, but they gravitate toward raw and unfiltered expressions of passion. Maddow's scream was not about losing control, but about embodying the very frustration and intensity that Crockett's statement demanded. This is a powerful example of how media personalities use tone, volume, and emotional inflection to reinforce the gravity of the content they are addressing. The virality of Maddow's reaction also highlights the shifting nature of news consumption. In a world dominated by social media clips, attention spans are short and people often engage with information through heat. It is also important to note that Maddow's reaction is tied to her role as both a journalist and a commentator. She is not bound by the strict neutrality of traditional reporting. The intensity of the moment underscores how important delivery is in the media landscape. Crockett may have provided the words, but Maddow's reaction amplified their reach. It demonstrated that in politics and journalism, the messenger and the reactor are both crucial in shaping how a message is received. Without Maddow's scream, Crockett's words may still have been powerful, but they might not have reached the same viral height. The combination of Crockett's unapologetic statement and Maddow's unfiltered emotional response created a dynamic that neither could have achieved alone. Jasmine Crockett's sharp clapback and its instant virality marked a defining moment and how political discourse intersects with social media culture. In today's climate, where every word and gesture is captured, replayed, and dissected online, Crockett's response did more than just answer a remark or criticism. It became a cultural signal of defiance, intelligence, and wit. The idea of a clapback is not new. It has roots in rhetorical traditions that date back centuries, where sharp comebacks were used as tools of persuasion and defense in debates. But in the modern context, a clapback carries a different weight because it is designed not only to silence the opponent in the moment, but to reverberate beyond the immediate conversation, spreading across digital platforms and gaining traction as a viral event. Crockett's delivery, timing, and unapologetic confidence combined to create exactly the kind of moment. Crockett, as a relatively new but already influential voice in Congress, has been carving out a reputation for herself as someone who refuses to shrink in the face of confrontation. Unlike the carefully measured responses that many politicians rely on to avoid controversy, her style embraces authenticity, often leaning into directness and boldness. That is part of what made her clapbacks so effective. It was not wrapped in overly complex political jargon or dulled by excessive politique. Insiders. The mechanics of her clapback are also worth examining. Effective comebacks rely on timing as much as content. If delivered too slowly, the power dissipates. If rushed, the message may be lost. Crockett managed to strike the exact balance needed, pausing just enough to command attention before delivering her words with precision. Her tone and body language reinforced the authority of what she said. A clapback is not only about words. It is about delivery. Crockett's posture, facial expression, and vocal emphasis sent the message that she was not intimidated, not backing down, and not afraid to confront challenges head-on. These visual cues became just as memorable as the words themselves when clips of the moment began circulating online. The viral spread of Crockett's clapback also reflects how social media thrives on moments that blend entertainment with significance. In political life, there are countless speeches and debates filled with important content, but only a few become viral sensations. The ones that do often share common elements. They are concise, emotionally charged, and carry a sense of empowerment. Crockett's clapback checked all these boxes. It was short enough to fit neatly into a clip that could be shared on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. It was emotionally charged, as it carried the weight of her personal frustration and the frustrations of those she represents. And it carried empowerment, as it modeled a refusal to be diminished or silenced. These qualities made it irresistible to audiences who are always searching for moments they can celebrate, share, and use as rallying cries in their own conversations. The instant virality also illustrates the changing role of politicians in the digital era. It is no longer enough to simply legislate or debate within the halls of Congress. Public figures must now be aware of how their words can echo online and shape their broader image. Crockett's clapback did not only address the immediate issue at hand, it positioned her as a figure of strength and wit in the eyes of a much larger audience. Within hours, clips were shared thousands of times, memes were created, and hashtags emerged, all centered around her moment of defiance. For a politician, this kind of viral visibility can do more to build recognition and support than a dozen press releases or interviews. Crockett's sharpness became a brand, one that aligned her with a culture of resistance and authenticity that resonates deeply in today's polarized society. The reception to her clapback also reveals the public hunger for leaders who can fight back against what many perceive as bullying, hypocrisy, or condescension in politics. In environments where debate often devolves into interruptions, talking over others, and dismissive remarks, a strong clapback feels like justice delivered in real time. Viewers watching Crockett's response did not just see her standing up for herself. They saw her standing up for a broader community of people who are often ignored, underestimated, or spoken down to. That sense of representation transformed the moment from a personal victory into a collective one, which is why it resonated so strongly online. The virality also depended heavily on the cultural moment. Social media thrives on the idea of instant reaction. People want to be the first to share a clip, to comment on it, and to make it part of a larger conversation. Crockett's clapback landed at a time when audiences were primed to celebrate moments of sharp political courage. Whether it was because of frustration with the status quo, a desire for more authenticity in politics, or the sheer entertainment value of a well-executed comeback, people seized the opportunity to elevate the clip. This immediacy created a snowball effect. The more people shared it, the more others felt compelled to watch and join in, pushing the clip into the viral stratosphere. Another factor in the effectiveness of Crockett's clapback is how it fits within the tradition of rhetorical power in marginalized communities. Historically, sharp and unapologetic speech has been a survival tool, a way to demand respect in spaces where it is often withheld. Crockett's words carried that same energy of resistance and reclamation. For many viewers, particularly those who identify with her background and experiences, her clapback was not just about politics. It was about identity, pride, and the refusal to conform to expectations of silence or submissiveness. That cultural resonance elevated the moment into something larger than a simple exchange of words. The media's role in amplifying the clapback cannot be overlooked. Once the clip began to spread, major outlets and commentators picked it up, framing it as a defining moment and giving it further legitimacy. Headlines emphasized the sharpness of Crockett's response and the instant virality it achieved. This coverage extended the life of the moment far beyond the initial broadcast. It ensured that even those who had not been following the original discussion would encounter the clip in their feeds or news cycles. In this way, Crockett's clapback became not just a fleeting viral moment, but part of the broader cultural conversation about politics, power, and communication. The virality of the clapback underscores how the political stage has become inseparable from the digital stage. Every exchange, every reaction, and every soundbite has the potential to escape the walls of Congress and enter the world of hashtags, memes, and viral trends. Crockett's moment of sharp defiance is a case study in how politicians can harness this reality to their advantage. By leaning into her authentic voice and refusing to retreat into cautious neutrality, she created a moment that was both politically significant and culturally unforgettable. The impact of viral political moments on media and public perception is one of the most fascinating developments of the digital age, reshaping how people engage with politics, how media outlets present information, and how leaders communicate with their audiences. Traditionally, political influence was measured by speeches delivered in Congress, campaign rallies, or televised debates, where only those who tuned in could witness the exchanges. Today, however, a single clip from a hearing, a debate, or a television appearance can spread across the internet within minutes, reaching millions of people who may not have been paying attention to the original event. These viral moments not only shape public opinion, but also transform the strategies of both politicians and media organizations, as they recognize the enormous power such instances hold in defining narratives. At the center of this phenomenon is the way viral content condenses complex issues into easily digestible pieces. Instead of long policy discussions or nuanced debates, what tends to spread are moments of emotion, whether it is anger, wit, defiance, or vulnerability. A fiery exchange in Congress, a sharp clapback during an interview, or an impassioned statement on the floor can travel further than a detailed policy explanation ever could. This creates a paradox for politicians. They are expected to master policy, but they are rewarded most when they produce a soundbite that resonates emotionally. Viral political moments thrive, not because of their depth, but because of their ability to capture attention in seconds. And in the attention economy, seconds can mean everything. For media outlets, viral moments present both an opportunity and a challenge. On one hand, clips that go viral drive traffic, boost ratings, and expand audience reach. Networks are increasingly aware that certain exchanges will gain traction online, and they often highlight those segments in their coverage, framing them as highlights of the day. This cycle encourages journalists and hosts to create conditions where viral moments are more likely to occur, whether by asking provocative questions, emphasizing conflict, or replaying emotionally charged exchanges. On the other hand, The emphasis on virality can skew coverage toward drama rather than substance, leaving important but less sensational topics sidelined. The media becomes not only a messenger of events, but also an active participant in shaping which moments dominate public consciousness. For the public, viral political moments have a profound influence on perception because they distill a politician's image into a single defining clip. A witty comeback can elevate someone as a symbol of strength and intelligence, while a verbal stumble can haunt a career for years. The public rarely remembers entire hearings or debates. They remember the standout moments that circulate online. These clips become shorthand representations of leaders' personalities, values, and capabilities. In this way, viral moments act almost like branding tools, shaping the public's perception in ways that are immediate and often enduring. The speed of virality also changes the dynamics of accountability. In the past, political missteps might take days to gain traction, requiring journalists to investigate and publish stories that would eventually reach the public. Now, the public itself is often the first to amplify a moment, whether positive or negative. A single user uploading a clip to Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram can ignite a firestorm before traditional media even reports on it. This democratization of influence means that the public has more control over which moments are highlighted, though it also means narratives can spread without context. The court of public opinion often makes judgments based on a 30-second clip without waiting for the full story. Another significant impact of viral political moments is their ability to mobilize people. Emotional resonance is a powerful driver of action, and when people see a moment that aligns with their frustrations or hopes, they're more likely to engage. Viral clips can inspire grassroots activism, spark conversations in communities, and even influence fundraising for campaigns. Politicians who master the art of producing viral content often see surges in support, particularly among younger audiences who consume most of their news through social media. A single moment of defiance or authenticity can generate the kind of enthusiasm that entire advertising campaigns struggle to achieve. At the same time, the dominance of virality introduces risks. Because viral moments prioritize emotion over substance, they can distort the reality of political discourse. A politician may be celebrated or vilified for a single remark, while their broader record goes unnoticed. This creates a distorted perception of leadership, where style can overshadow substance. Leaders may become more focused on creating moments that will trend rather than engaging in the difficult, less glamorous work of governance. This shift in incentives risks turning politics into a performance, where theatricality outweighs policy expertise. The viral nature of political communication also amplifies polarization. Moments that go viral often do so because they're dramatic, confrontational, or humorous at the expense of an opponent. While this makes them entertaining and shareable, it also reinforces the divide between political factions. Supporters celebrate the moment as a victory, while opponents dismiss it as evidence of incompetence or hostility. In this way, viral clips serve as rallying points for partisanship rather than bridges for dialogue. Instead of encouraging nuanced understanding, they often entrench existing divisions by rewarding soundbites that affirm rather than challenge group identities. It is also important to note that Maddow's reaction is tied to her role as both a journalist and a commentator. She is not bound by the strict neutrality of traditional reporting.